Hey folks, this is Mark Joyner, and I'm with my good buddy Scott Lopez today, and he's going to talk to us about mental toughness. Now, if there's anybody who is qualified to talk to you about mental toughness, well, let me talk a little bit about this man's credentials. He was an F-18 pilot in the U.S. Marine Corps. He recently just went and competed in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Championships and got third place. That is huge. I don't know if you know how big that is, but Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is probably the most competitive, most difficult, and maybe most effective, at least outside of the deadly fighting sports, martial art that there is. And I got to tell you, man, that is a huge, huge accomplishment. So, Scott, thanks for coming out and talking to us today.
Hey, Mark, I really appreciate it. As always, you're one of the pioneers, I think, of internet marketing, and we also we're former military officers together, not together, but we both have that background and common heritage and brotherhood. And I just appreciate the opportunity to be here. So thank you very much, my friend.
Hey, you're most welcome. All right, so let's just dive right into it. What is mental toughness? Now, I'm sure folks have preconceived notions about what this is, but I want to hear from you what you believe it is.
Well, mental toughness is it's more than just a term. To me, it's a philosophy, but it's a life philosophy. But it really started off coming from sports psychology. World-class athletes, true grit, determination. When all hope seems lost, we're down by 20 points with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter in a football game. We got to score, we got to win the championship, we got to be mentally tough. One of the best examples of mental toughness may be the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team that beat the Russians before they went on to win the gold medal that year. That was called mental toughness because they were huge underdogs. So traditionally, mental toughness is associated with sports psychology, world-class athletes, Olympians, maybe Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Walter Payton, but also with the military elite. We would say fighter pilots, Navy SEALs, Green Berets, Delta Force. Those are also considered mental toughness. The ability to take control of your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings under pressure, under anxiety, under stress, under adversity, and deliver world-class performance and results no matter what. That's mental toughness. And a lot of people think it's kind of it's isolated for somebody else. It's in the arena of the world-class athletes, or maybe a CEO or a president. But actually, it's something that we can all develop to help us upgrade our lives and take us to the next level in a lot of different ways.
Excellent. And what exactly happens to somebody if somebody starts applying this concept to their life? Now, a lot of people think that this is something that you're born with, but I believe that your contention is that people can in fact learn it, and we'll get to that here in a second. But what happens to you if you start adopting the behavior patterns of the mentally tough?
Right. So I think one really clear point and foundation belief and premise here is that no one is better than anybody else. Right? I'm not better than you. You're not better than the president's not better than my daughter. The billionaire's not better than the poor person. Nobody is better than anybody else. And in our society, and actually probably globally, we think there's this whole I'm better than you or you're better than somebody else based on socioeconomic performance or where you were born in life. But the premise here is nobody is better than anybody else. However, it is a fact, and it's tangible and it's real, that there are average performers and there are world-class performers. So what takes somebody from being average and having average results and being world-class? And when we say world-class, we're talking, that 5%, maybe even that 3% of people in the world that are the movers and shakers, that are the top performers. Maybe they could be a CEO, they could be a Mark Zuckerberg, they could be from Facebook, or maybe Deepak Chopra, or Bono from U2, or Kobe Bryant, or Nelson Mandela, or these elite, enlightened leaders, these thought leaders in the world. Usually they're billionaires, right? I mean, you could see, not always, but maybe Richard Branson or just people in that stratosphere, what makes them different than the normal average people? And what we know is, quite honestly, they think differently. So when we start talking about mental toughness and performing under pressure, controlling your emotions, we're also talking about critical thinking. But it's really kind of the compare and contrast of how do you think, how do I think, and how do they think? And if we can adopt those same habit patterns, if we can adopt really that programming, that they've got versus the programming that almost 95% of the world has, would we get the same results? And the premise is, the theory is, and actually the results are, yeah, we would. We absolutely would. And it's possible. And it's possible for anybody. It's possible for anybody. So Mark, this is more than a motivational rah-rah. Let's run across coals and let's do all kinds of crazy things and get an emotional adrenaline shot in the arm from a weekend seminar. We're talking about a transformational process of reprogramming our brain, our thoughts, our beliefs to upgrade our lives.
That is a pretty bold statement. So let's get into this. People are probably wondering, so is this actually true? And if it is, let's hear the proof. How do I actually adopt these behavior patterns myself so that I can begin to reap those benefits? I've got some opinions about that, but I would certainly love to hear yours.
So we have something called middle class and world class. Actually, we kind of break down the population into 5 different categories. We say there's a poverty class, about 5% of the world. There's a working class. There's a middle class. And again, these are kind of socioeconomic terms, and you and I have talked about this in the past, and we're not trying to give anybody a hard time here and categorize them, but we're really talking about results, people's results. And then you've got this elite group of people out there. And again, it's the thought processes, it's the closely held beliefs, it's the attitudes that we were taught by well-meaning parents, coaches, teachers, our community, our schools, our universities, and even our jobs, even the military, right? The military gave us a certain programming, and when you compare that to the world-class entrepreneurs, perhaps the world-class thought leaders, there's a different, it's a little bit different, right? So we could see one way that the middle class is different from the world class is that most people in the middle class, or we say the masses, see themselves as victims, right? And the world class sees themselves as responsible. A lot of people let themselves be ruled by fear as opposed to looking at that fear as an opportunity for growth, which is what the world class does. The middle class will compete against you as opposed to the world class person creates and they express themselves, right? Maybe we're talking about ego-driven versus spiritual-driven, right? Expression. We just, before we got on the call here, we were talking about delusion and objective reality. This is really important concept I want people to understand, is that the middle class really does live in delusion, right? So how do I mean that? How I mean that is, again, nobody's better than anybody else, but there are talented people in the middle class. They're educated. They work hard. They know there's a better way. They know if they apply the discipline, if they apply the thought process, they're going to get better results. But they don't do it. When we do sales training for corporations, or when I do stuff with corporate client or with private coaching clients, everybody says, I'm world class. What's so special about that person? You may be world class, but do your results of your life show it, right? How does your bank account look like? Not that that's the only indicator. What does your health look like? What's your weight? How are your family relationships? How are your relationships with your kids? How do you believe in yourself? Do you have self-doubt and fear and insecurities, or are you fully actualized? And as we go through this, our middle class training and process, we start to uncover these beliefs that people realize, oh my gosh, I really do have a certain set of programming that is different from maybe a world-class programming, and that's how we start coaching that and upgrading their awareness and their thought process.
Awesome. Well, I've certainly accomplished a few things in my life, but I am constantly trying to improve myself. So, I don't think that I would hesitate getting coaching from someone like you if I thought that there were a couple things that you could do to flip that switch or two in my head that might refine the results that I'm getting. So how would someone go about working with you if they were to want to do that?
So it would be really simple. Just go to www.successwithscott.com, successwithscott.com, and I think if you're watching this video, you may have already gone to successwithscott.com, SUCCESS with SCOTT.com, Scott.com. It's pretty simple. You can also find me on Facebook, Scott Lopez. Let me just talk about Facebook real quick, Mark. Yesterday, I did something called Mental Toughness Challenge with my Facebook list.
Right.
And I challenged everybody, can you go 24 hours without complaining? Not a single word coming out of your mouth that's negative. I had about 65, 70 people sign up for this, and they went nuts. We probably had maybe 200 comments, a lot of different threads. People were just like, this was harder than I thought it was going to be. This is fantastic. One of the best posts I've ever had. Just being aware of your talk, being aware of your thoughts. Most people go through the day, they go through the week, they go through their life without really understanding the programming that's coming out of their own mouth. And to open that awareness, that's transformational. So I'm just going to give 2 secrets real quick that I've seen that people can begin to upgrade their mental toughness. One is monitor your self-talk. Be aware of what you're saying. It's so critical. And we're not talking about Stuart Smiley from Saturday Night Live. I'm nice, I like myself, and I'm pretty, and we're not talking about that. But if you can just monitor what you're saying and just eliminate negativity about yourself and what you're and complaining, it's going to have a huge impact on your life and the energy that you bring into it. There's a statistic that says 77% of our self-talk is negative, of the average person. That's catastrophic. I mean, that's really crippling to people, and they don't even know that they're doing it. I don't even know I'm doing it sometimes. I have to watch out for it. But that's one, right? Watch your self-talk. Number 2 would be, you asked what kind of coaching could I provide for you? Well, I'll tell you, vision statements, vision for your life. If the average person doesn't have a vision for their life, they might have a goal, they may have some objectives, but they don't have a vision. Traditionally people will say a vision is for a president is visionary, or a company is visionary, or a country is visionary, but the average person doesn't believe they have they can have a vision that's bold and daring, and believe it or not, the world class does. The world class people have visions. They update them regularly. It's kind of a business plan for their life. It's what motivates them. It's what keeps them on track. And it's a very easy concept, but it's actually hard to put together. And it's actually hard to do, because when you start sitting down and going through the process of writing out your vision, what kind of family life do you want? What kind of finances and career? What kind of fitness do you want? What kind of person do you want to become? And put that into a document. It brings up a lot of anxiety about people. It's not that easy to do, but if you can do it and stay with it and use it as a daily motivation or a weekly motivation, it will change your life. It will absolutely change your life. So create a vision, watch your self-talk, and watch your life improve. Those are two tips.
Awesome. Beautiful words, Scott. I really appreciate you coming out today. And anybody listening, listen, I strongly encourage you to work with Scott. This is some stuff that's going to be very transformational for you. Again, I'm constantly upgrading and improving myself. I think that is not just a worthy thing. I think it's an essential thing, because when we're not improving, we're stagnating. So you've got to be constantly improving, and one really, really great way to improve yourself is to associate yourself with people who have done things that you have not yet done, who have got a degree of mental toughness, grit, whatever you want to call it, that you don't have, and then so that you can absorb those traits from them. It's a very, very important process. Thanks everybody for watching, and thank you, Scott, for coming to hang out.
Mark, thanks as always. You know I love you, and I'm going to give you a plug for Simpleology. I've been using it. It's been transformational for me. So if anybody can get out there and jump on board with Simpleology. Mark's the CEO and co-founder of that, and fantastic. It's been transformational for me as well. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that.
All right, buddy. Take care.